Hello, I'm Joe Sawyer, the Superintendent of the Shrewsbury Public Schools. Today is Thursday, April 23rd, and I'm recording this message in the Shrewsbury Media Connection studios, thanks to the SMC Executive Director, Mark Serra. I want to begin with a few key messages. I want to remind everyone that, of course, the health and well-being of our students and families and staff is our number one priority. I do ask that our families, but in particular our students, especially our older students, continue to practice social and physical distancing. Please wear your masks. Please help us stop the spread of this disease among our community. I also want to remind everyone that we are counting on everyone in our community to take collective responsibility in helping to overcome this challenge. I want to again thank everyone who's working on the front lines, our medical professionals working in hospitals and doctors' offices and urgent care centers, our first responders, the people doing incredibly important work in our supermarkets and in all the businesses that need to remain open to meet our needs. We really appreciate what you're doing for us. Even though the schools are closed, of course, we continue to work to support our students and families and our staff, albeit from a distance. We want to continue to empower our students to continue their learning under these circumstances, and we'll have to continue to refine our remote learning because the big piece of news this week, of course, is that Governor Baker did extend the school closure through the end of the current school year. While this is very disappointing news to receive, we know it's the right decision because the health and safety of our Commonwealth and our community is what's most important at this time. I do want to certainly note that this is especially difficult for our Shrewsbury High School seniors. This is, as their senior spring, a time that they've been very much looking forward to. It's a time when we celebrate all of the members of our senior class who are graduating for all of their accomplishments. And it is going to be deeply disappointing, of course, not to have the typical senior events, everything from the senior picnic to commemoration to the student-faculty dinner and, of course, to graduation. Mr. Todd Bazillo, the principal at Shrewsbury High School, has sent out a survey to families as well as to students. We urge those senior families and students to complete that survey so that we can get your ideas about what you think is the best way to celebrate our seniors in alternative ways. Some of you know that in addition to being the superintendent, I'm also the proud parent of a member of the class of 2020, and we're certainly committed to doing everything we can under the circumstances to honor our seniors this year under these extraordinary circumstances. The school closure through the end of the year, of course, gives us some certainty for planning. We are going to continue to refine and update our remote learning to make it as effective as possible. We're also going to begin planning ahead. We don't yet know what the summer will bring in terms of whether we'll be able to hold any kind of summer activities at all at some point. And we don't know what the new school year will bring in terms of school opening in the fall. It will likely look very different than what we're typically accustomed to if we are able to physically get back into schools in the fall. And we're going to be planning to figure out, given the state's guidance and the Department of Public Health's guidance, what that might look like. And we'll be working hard at that in the weeks and months ahead. But I want to emphasize again that this is not a race or a competition. This is really a challenge for us to meet as a community. We're going to continue to face formidable challenges, both in the near future and in the longer term, not only due to the pandemic situation, but also because the pandemic is creating some very difficult economic conditions for local and state governments that are going to result in some really significant budget pressures. We already had a very challenging budget cycle ahead for next year with planned cuts, and I expect that that's going to get significantly worse. The school committee and the school administration will be communicating with you in the weeks ahead. We know the town meeting has been postponed. We'll know soon how far into the future it has been postponed, and we'll establish a new budget timeline. But we know that we are going to face some very difficult choices in terms of what we'll be able to do given the resources that are available. And we'll continue to be hopeful that the federal government will come through with some additional support funding, just as they did during the Great Recession. That will be critically important for school districts across the country to be able to meet these challenges. Unfortunately, I'm not optimistic that things will return to normal anytime soon. And optimism is something that we have to be careful about in these situations. I'm reminded of what Jim Collins in his great business book, The Good to Great, called the Stockdale Paradox, when he interviewed Admiral James Stockdale, who'd been a prisoner of war in Vietnam. and asked him what had he and others who had survived being a POW, how they had approached that and how they had persevered. Admiral Stockdale said it was the optimists who had the most difficulty, because the optimists who were wishfully thinking that they'd be out of the prison sooner than what was going to be reality would become deeply discouraged. And those who would really confront the brutal facts of their situation would be able to persevere better, but with one key ingredient. They needed to keep the hope alive that ultimately things would get better and that they would have a better situation based on the work that they're doing in the present. And that's what we need to do as a community and as a school community. We need to make sure that we keep hope alive, that ultimately, by doing our best through this difficult time, we'll come through this an even stronger community when this is over. So again, I remain incredibly proud to be your superintendent of schools. Tomorrow is a school vacation day. I wish our students and their families and our staff a good long weekend. Our Muslim families who will begin observing tonight, I wish you a generous Ramadan, and I continue to be very grateful for your support. Thank you.